Hello friends, a very good day to you. Today we are going to talk about the expansion of British power in India through their military policies, okay? And while talking about the expansion of British power in India, we will have to understand the fact that the British territorially expanded within India through various gradual steps, okay? And there were many wars involved with native Indian rulers and native Indian states. And one such important episode is the Anglo-Mysore War. All right, the Mysore kingdom, which had come into ascendancy under the rule of Hyder Ali, it formed a formidable challenge to the British powers in the southern part of India. The Malabar coast, especially, the British were losing their trading privileges in the Malabar because of the presence of this powerful kingdom. And remember the fact about the Mysore kingdom. The fact is, the Mysore kingdom was modernizing very quickly, and it was modernizing very fast, and it also took help from European allies such as the French. Okay, the Mysore kingdom had a very good alliance with the French kingdom, okay, or the French empire, all right, and the French colonial presence in India, okay. And because of this, the British felt threatened, obviously, because one of their main aims at this point of time, while they are expanding within India, is to safeguard their trading privileges and at the same time try to minimize the risk of any kind of domination by native Indian powers. And Hyder Ali and his son Tipu Sultan, they proved a real threat to the British in India, okay. And therefore, when we move forward, what we see is that there were a sequence of wars fought with the Mysore kingdom, okay, between the British and the Mysore kingdom. And in these wars, the alliance between Mysore and France also took a very crucial it also added a crucial element. And at the same time, we will also have to understand the fact that the Nizam of Hyderabad and the Marathas in the southern part of India, they also played a crucial role in this entire episode. Now, the sequence of events that we will be discussing are the first Anglo-Mysore War and the second Anglo-Mysore War, because this is going to be the first part of a series, of a two-part series, that is the Anglo-Mysore Wars. And today we are going to discuss the first Anglo-Mysore War and the second Anglo-Mysore War. We will move on to the third and the fourth Anglo-Mysore War in our next episode. So, proceeding forward, let me write down the title of today's class: Anglo-Mysore Wars. Okay, there were 4 wars in totality. Okay, today we are going to discuss 2 of them. So, let us look into the first Anglo-Mysore War first. Okay, first Anglo-Mysore War. The dates for the first Anglo-Mysore War: 1766 to 1769. Okay, these dates are also crucial because most of the time some questions have also can be expected about the dates of these particular wars. Okay, the first, second and third and fourth Anglo-Mysore War. Even for that matter, the wars, the dates for the Carnatic War, the dates for the Anglo-Maratha War, Anglo-Sikh War, all of these dates are important. So please make it a point to memorize the dates. Okay, so the first Anglo-Mysore War, which took place between 1766 and 69. You already know the causes because I have elaborated on them. The Mysore kingdom was beginning to prove a threat to the British presence in India and their trading privileges in India, and therefore, in order to break this threat, okay, the British had no choice but to find an instigation, all right, against the against the Mysore kingdom. Okay, so we know the fact that before the first Anglo-Mysore War, an alliance was formed between the British, the Marathas, and the Nizam of Hyderabad. Okay, now this alliance was exclusively geared towards or against the state of Mysore. Okay, and it proved to be a great provocation to Hyder Ali, the ruler of Mysore. And greater provocation came in the form of the Nizam attacking Mysore with the help of British soldiers. Okay, so the Nizam and the British, they attacked Mysore with the help, the Nizam with the help of British soldiers. Okay, so this proved to be the last straw which broke the camel's back, and therefore outright hostilities began. All right, and we see that Hyder Ali successfully defended. Hyder Ali successfully defended during the during the first Anglo-Mysore War. He was able to defend Mangalore or take back Mangalore from the invading forces, and he was able therefore to conclude a treaty with the invaders which was in favor of Mysore. Okay, we will see that the treaty was in favor of Mysore, or it did not diminish the power or influence of Mysore. Okay, although we see that two native states and the British together, they had come against the Mysore state. Okay, so so Hyder Ali was victorious in the first Anglo-Mysore War, and the treaty that was signed after the first Anglo-Mysore War, in the conclusion of the first Anglo-Mysore War, was the Treaty of Madras. Okay, and that in the Treaty of Madras we see that the provision it provides for the restitution of territories. Those territories that were annexed were restituted, okay, or were given back from the various parties involved. Okay, so suppose if Hyder Ali had taken certain territories from the British or from the Nizam, those territories were restituted, and there was also exchange of prisoners. Okay, exchange of prisoners. At the same time, one of the clauses of the treaty was also a defensive alliance. Okay, alliance between Mysore and English. Okay, there was a defensive alliance which was signed between the Mysore state and the British forces. Okay, according to this defensive alliance, whenever there is any threat to the Mysore state or to the English, they will help each other. Okay, in defense of each other, they are going to come in defense of each other. Okay, this is a very important clause of this treaty. Okay, apart from this important clause, there was another clause, and that is the restoration of the company's trading privileges. Okay, that goes without saying. With restitution of territories, there will also be restoration of trading privileges. Okay, however, this is the most important clause of the Treaty of Madras, according to which a defensive alliance was forged. Okay, and this proves to be one of the instigators behind the second Anglo-Mysore War. Okay, when we are discussing the second Anglo-Mysore War, we will see that the British, or neither the British nor the Mysore state, they honored this clause of the treaty. All right, and actually this clause of the treaty was first broken by the British themselves when they did not come in help of the Mysore state when the Mysore state was attacked by the Marathas in 1771. 1771, we see that the Marathas, they attacked the Mysore state, but British did not come to help the Mysore state, and they therefore dishonored the defensive alliance treaty. Okay, defensive alliance clause of the Treaty of Madras. Okay, but there are other reasons for the outbreak of the second Anglo-Mysore War, which we will look in the next video. Now let us look into the second Anglo-Mysore War. Okay, while discussing the first Anglo-Mysore War, we already understood the fact that the British did not honor a crucial element of the Treaty of Madras that was signed after the first Anglo-Mysore War. All right, and that clause was the defensive alliance clause. Okay, and according to the defensive alliance clause, the British are supposed to help Mysore state if the Mysore state comes under invasion, or if the Mysore state is attacked by anybody. Okay, same goes for the Mysore state. But we see that in 1771, when the Marathas, they attack Mysore state. Okay, when the Marathas, they attack Mysore state, the British are nowhere to be seen. Okay, they don't help, and therefore this infuriates Hyder Ali. Okay, Hyder Ali is infuriated by this breaking of the clauses of the first Anglo-Mysore War treaty. Okay, that is the Treaty of Madras. And then of course we see that Mysore itself forms an alliance with the Nizam and the Marathas. Okay, so Mysore comes into an alliance with the Nizam and the Marathas, and therefore the already frail relationship between the British and the Mysore state, it again deteriorates. Okay, and then we go on to see that in 1780 Hyder Ali outright seizes Arcot, okay, from Bailey, Colonel Bailey. Okay, So Colonel Bailey is defeated and Arcot is seized, okay. And again in the sequence of events we will see that in 1781 the British, they are able to capture Mahe, okay, which is a French settlement, okay. It is a French settlement, all right. And again the French settlement of Mahe was under the protection of Hyder Ali. Hyder Ali, remember, was an ally of the French in India, okay, and the French settlement of Mahe was under his protection. Therefore all out hostilities break out. This war, which starts from 1780s itself, now transforms, okay, into an all out open hostility. And we see that you see in the initial stages we see that Hyder Ali comes under great pressure from the British because of the presence of General Ayr Court. Now you will remember this name from the Carnatic Wars, the brilliant general who was also the supreme commander of the British Armed Forces, okay. So General Ayr Court, he is able to defeat Hyder Ali, okay. Ayr Court is able to defeat Hyder Ali. Hyder Ali finds himself defeated, okay. And during the course of the struggle itself, in the year 1782, Hyder Ali is dead, okay. Hyder Ali dies. And now the mantle of carrying forward this conflict with the British falls over his son, his brilliant son to be sure, okay, Tipu Sultan, all right. And we know for fact that Tipu Sultan successfully routed the British during the remainder of this conflict, of this second Anglo-Mysore conflict, because Brigadier Matthews, who takes over from Ayr Court as the supreme commander of the British forces, he is completely and totally destroyed by Tipu Sultan, and Tipu Sultan takes his entire army captive, okay. So the British army is taken captive, all right. And this provokes the signing of the Treaty of Mangalore, okay. Therefore hostilities end between the for now at least hostilities end between Mysore state and British, okay, through the Treaty of Mangalore, all right. And according to the clauses of the Treaty of Mangalore, which is signed in the year 1784, the British and British and Mysore state, they agree with mutual restitution of territories, that is give and take of territories, okay. And they also agree over prisoner exchange, okay. At the same time, the trading privileges of the British are restored, okay. Trading privileges are restored. Now we see that the second Anglo-Mysore war, although it is ended with a treaty, the Treaty of Mangalore, we see that the frail nature of the British army, all right, a modern army, a modernized, okay, fairly modernized army, because Tipu Sultan had begun the modernization of the Mysore state, okay. So a fairly, or even not very competent against the British, but a fairly modern army would be able, with the right kind of leadership, would be able to take down the mighty British army, all right. And we see that the growth of Tipu Sultan, or the threat that Tipu Sultan possesses towards the British, okay, and the British quickly realize it, all right. The Governor General at this point of time, Warren Hastings, he is not very happy with the Treaty of Mangalore, because he understands that the Treaty of Mangalore puts British on a back foot, all right, as far as the Mysore state is concerned, and therefore there is a need for further wars with the state, okay, the state of Mysore. The British cannot tolerate a native state which is bordering their own territories or their own presidencies, okay, which is modernizing itself and which is proving to be a threat to their market share, and at the same time to their threat to their existence, all right. And therefore we see that the Treaty of Mangalore, or the second Anglo-Mysore war, was not a conclusive war, all right. Therefore it took 2 more wars to, you see, come to a conclusion as far as this entire episode or entire conflict is concerned. The Third Anglo-Mysore War and the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War. In both Third and Fourth Anglo-Mysore War, we will see that the British start gaining an upper hand. Okay, the leadership changes and the British, they start gaining an upper hand. Cornwallis takes over leadership in the third, and in the fourth, Arthur Wellesley, the brother of Richard Wellesley, who is the Governor General, Arthur Wellesley takes over charge of the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War. And Arthur Wellesley, mind you, is the same person who will defeat Napoleon in the Battle of Waterloo, okay, in a short span of time from now. That is the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War. So a very competent person, he is able to defeat Tipu Sultan in the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War. So a complete details of the Third and Fourth Anglo-Mysore War will be given in the second part of this series, two-part series that we are doing on the Anglo-Mysore War conflict. Okay, so keep watching Smart Coach videos. I hope that you liked our videos, and I hope you will be studying very hard. You will do good for sure.